Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all here. Entertainment and technology are continuing to transform each other as they have been doing for over 100 years. From radio to broadcast TV to cable TV, and now to internet TV. Netflix was the first to put up all episodes at once, to give consumers complete control, and to start the binge era. We were also the first to release stories across a global footprint, allowing members, whether in Argentina or Finland, to be able to enjoy the same great story at the exact same moment. TuneIn has been replaced by personal choice. We live in an on-demand world, and there's no going back. Today, right now, you are witnessing the birth of a global TV network. And I do mean the birth. Whether you were in Sydney or St. Petersburg, Singapore or Seoul, Santiago or Saskatoon, you now can be part of the internet TV revolution. No more waiting. No more watching on a schedule that's not your own. No more frustration. Just Netflix, how, when, and wherever you are in the world. Today, you have witnessed an incredible event. Thank you all for coming.
Well, look, fundamentally, we're trying to do something big. We're trying to end boredom and loneliness. Boredom and loneliness have been a human affliction, and entertainment arose as a way to cope with boredom and loneliness. We're really trying to do much better entertainment. And when you think about it, like some moment when you had with a friend and you watched some incredible TV show, and how connected you felt with your friend and with the show and with the characters, and how if you're in the middle of a series you can't wait to get home that night and watch the next episode. I mean, that is a great feeling, and that's what we're trying to bring more of.
죽은 사람들이 괴물이 돼서 살아났습니다. 이제 곧 깨어납니다.
상주가 뚫리면 이 나라 모든 곳에 역병이 퍼질 것이다. 막아야 한다.
But entertainment, people will consume multiple sources. Really, we compete with everything you do to relax. We compete with video gaming. We compete with drinking a bottle of wine. That's a particularly tough one. We compete with other video networks, you know, playing board games. Think of everything you do to relax, or think of any night you did not watch Netflix. That what you did, that was the we compete with work. Like, you work too much. You work at night, you know, and so it's such a broad competition that when Amazon does great work, or HBO, we don't notice it in our numbers, because people want and crave great entertainment. You have to be authentic. I mean, you've got no hope if you try to pretend to be Reed Hastings or Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or whoever you want to think your CEOs are that you've met. You know, that is crazy. And you got to really get comfortable with yourself, your strengths and weaknesses. People are inspired by authenticity, and I'm just surprised how many people feel like they're acting or try to act. And you may be a really quiet person, and that's fine. But if you have that fierce will, that desire for the institution, the company to be great, and you authentically express that in whatever ways you do, then you'll be greatly accepted, okay? And so that's all it takes, is to be authentic and not try to be something else. You shouldn't try to be someone else. Don't, like, you know, read about Steve Jobs and then start wearing mock black turtlenecks, you know. Be yourself. God, here I am in black. You want to figure out what your emotional, center is, and be that really great, and don't try to be other people. I mean, it's fine to read about them, but there's no one style if you look at the varieties of the really successful companies, the variety of leaders is quite wide. Well, I was math undergrad, and I didn't want to be a math professor. It seemed just too dry. And so then I thought, okay, I'll teach math. And then after 2 or 3 years of teaching high school math, I was trying to read all these math papers, and I wanted something kind of in between. I thought, AI, that's going to be, some blend of, intensely intellectual, and they both had AI programs. And this was in the first AI bubble. Right now we're in another big AI bubble, but there was one in the mid-'80s. So that was why I applied there. So my first business was when I was at Stanford, and I noticed that, when you type and then go to the mouse and type and go to the mouse, it's inefficient. And I wanted to be able to type faster, so we developed a foot mouse. And you controlled it with a foot, and it's amazing what you could do. And I thought this whole business plan, I was going to be in the foot mouse business. And it turns out if you do this for more than a few minutes, your leg gets really sore, and the mouse gets really dirty. It's a very dirty environment on the floor. And
carpal thigh
the thing I thought would be transformative of human productivity turned out to be a disaster. So that went down. And then I came up with the idea for this first product called Purify, if any of you were C and C++ programmers. And then from 91 to 97, so it was 6 years, was Pure Software. Was an amazing adventure because I never set out to be CEO. I didn't, I just wanted to do the product. I was very product driven, and this particular product was for other software developers, so it was a match. But it was very frustrating because I was and felt underwater a lot of the time. So the products were great. It was an incredible product market fit. So we doubled every year for 6 years. And along that, we changed as enterprise sales to major corporations, and we changed our VP of sales. I changed every year for 5 years in a row. Okay, so I just couldn't pick. I kept picking the wrong type of person because I just didn't know that much.
But the sales doubled every year.
But the sales doubled. So
This is
you
a
think
terrible
how hard
problem.
that is to do, of sales doubling, turning over the VP of sales. So. And the real thing is I just felt like a failure because I was clearly making these big wrong decisions. And it was the feeling of the company deserves better. And so twice I went into the board and said, we got to get someone else to run the company because this is awful for the company. And twice they said, yeah, you really are making a big mistakes, but we still would rather have you do those mistakes than take the other set of risks. And so it gave me absolution or resolution. One of the hardest things is when you make big mistakes as a leader is being able to forgive yourself because you just, for the sake of the enterprise, you just feel terrible. And yet you have to realize that, hey, if you gave it your cleanest, most ethical, best, hardest thinking shot, that's all you can hold yourself accountable for, not the outcome. But that's hard. Well, when we think about what's going to disrupt Netflix, probably internet streaming is like electricity, where it's got a couple 100-year run. It's unlikely because it's a substrate foundation of which things are built on top. So we don't think we're going to get disrupted in terms of the delivery technology. So the likely case when we eventually have a disruption threat would be some new form of entertainment that's so compelling that you come to look at movies and TV shows as to be like a novel. Read it once a year maybe, and it's just a nice, cute, small business. And in fact, what everyone is doing is, an Oculus Rift with a morphine drip. And so you compare that experience against watching a good TV show, and that's uneven odds. So eventually there'll be some tech-based entertainment forms, which supplant movies and TV shows. So for a decade or two, we'll ride with that business, and then we've got to be aware of what are the substitutes to it.